XIME Bangalore, distinguished judges, participants from various colleges of this prestigious event, their accompanying parents, teachers, my faculty friends, staff, my dear students, and those who join for this program online through YouTube Live, a warm good morning to one and all. Today is a very special day for XIME Kochi. This Maria Philip debate competition is one of the most important events usually we conduct in XIME. The reason is nothing but it is Maria who inspired his father to start this venture after his retirement. We proudly say there is a difference between XIME and other institutions. XIME has a soul, and it is this Maria is the soul of all XIME group of institutions. The promise that father gave to Maria, he did an excellent job. Chennai. Just for the information of the participants and parents, I want to give some specialities of XIME institutions. I'm not elaborating, I will specify only 3 different points. The first one, the diversity that you can see in this campus. This is not in this campus alone, all the 3 campuses we have students from nearly 20 states. You will hear multiple languages here. You can see Hindi, Bengali, Oriya, Kannada, Telugu, no quota system. No reservation. Of course, the formal governmental reservations are there. Other than there is no management quota, there is no NRE quota, admission is based on purely on merit only. Third one, regarding our placement. As I told you, our headquarters is at Bangalore. So usually the placement happens from there only. So the average salary will be comparatively high compared to, not high, considerably high compared to other colleges from Kerala. Our this Maria Philip debate competition was conducted as a Kerala competition, all Kerala debate competition. We used to conduct events at 4 different regions. Winners and runners of these 4 regions will be competing here for the final prize. Even before starting XIME Kochi, Maria Philip debate started. So it is actually Maria Philip debate started in Kerala before XIME Kochi started. Now it has become a South India event. South India event. Today we are having Kerala finals. Similar events will be happening at Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Finally, the overall finals will be happening at our headquarters, XIME Bangalore. Prize money is also not a small amount. For the South India winner, he or she is going to bag 80,000 rupees. Runners up, 50,000 rupees. Today, the state-wise winner will be getting 30,000 rupees as cash prize. Runners up will be getting 20,000 rupees as cash prize. participants now, they are the winners of different regions. They have already backed 5,000 rupees as for the winners, and runners-up was already backed 2,500 rupees. So, let me congratulate all those 10 teams from different colleges for your successful completion, and let me wish all the best for the current event. With this note, let me come to my responsibility. So, we have our president, our founder, Professor J. Philip, has joined online. Usually he used to be here. He never misses Maria Philip debate which is conducting in Kerala. Because of certain unavoidable situations he could not reach. That is why still he is joining our Zoom to this particular function. So I extend, sir, I'm extending a warm welcome from my bottom of heart. Today we have three eminent judges. I'm not describing their profile. That will be done by our combined team. So we have Ms. Anisha Cherian, President Thai Kerala and Director at Chamanur Academy and Systems Private Limited. Ms. Molly Cyril, former Dean and Director of the Charter School. Mr. Johnson Matthew, CHRO of EVM Honda. On behalf of the entire XIME family, let me extend a warm welcome to you, sir. Today's chief guest is Mr. APM Muhammad Hanish IAS. We are expecting he will be joining us shortly. He is the Principal Secretary to Government of Kerala, handling three different departments. One is General Education, one of the most complicated department of Kerala. Then Industries and Commerce. So, in his absence, I extend a warm welcome to him. We have the parents and teachers of the students who come COVID here. Let me extend a warm welcome to them. Our XIMA family is here. My faculty friends are here. Staff is here. Over and above, my beloved students are also here. I extend a warm welcome to you all to this particular function. Once again, extending a warm welcome. Let me conclude. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are all gathered here today because of the influence of one girl, Maria Philip. She was a visionary who believed in creating an egalitarian society and in creating a platform for leaders to voice out their opinions. She was the reason behind this prestigious Dream School XIME.
And to speak more about the dream that Maria Philip held, we call upon Miss Ravani.
Maria was born on 9th April 1964 in Kerala. She pursued her schooling at Convent of Jesus and Mary, New Delhi, and completed her BA Honours in Psychology from Jesus and Mary, New Delhi. While Maria was a sincere student throughout her schooling, she was also an excellent orator, organizer, and active participant in extracurricular activities. She was a born leader, and in recognition of her diligence, she was made the head girl at Loreto School, Ranchi, games captain at Convent of Jesus and Mary School, and secretary of the debating club at Jesus and Mary College. The crowning glory for Maria was when she was elected as the most popular girl at the All India Cultural Festival, Montage, at Jesus and Mary College in 1984. Having always been passionate about human resource management, she was decided to pursue a master's program in personal management at the Madras School of Social Work. Unfortunately, during her final year, she was called into Almighty's abode on 30th September 1986, leaving her dreams of contributing to the development of society unfulfilled. Maria was the inspiration behind her father in the founding of XIME. Thank you.
Thank you, Shravani. I believe that the future Maria envisioned truly lives on in these very walls.
It's a privilege to invite Professor J. Philip, Principal Founder, XIME, and former Director, IIM Bangalore, to address the gathering.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Nancy, for that welcome speech. Everybody welcoming me. And to the young lady, Babaraju, and her companion, excellent introduction to Maria. And both of you together have given a good introduction to what this speech is about, what this conversation is about, and what Maria was and what she wanted to have. I am her father. It is her influence, as was said, which led to the founding of XIME, which are the director set under 3 institutions. The number of special things about XIME, because the inspiration of an lady, you will see that in Bangalore we have 58% girls in the student body, 58%, which is one of the highest. And she being a speaker and an outstanding speaker in Major, this is one of the unique features of all the XIME speaking. There is also a influence of XLR, which is our senior sister institution. And I spent my early years in XLR. I spent 13 years in XLR. I'm a product of XLR too. So there, when the students and when I was a teacher, speaking was one of the commitments of the entire institution, making students speak as speakers. And we carried it here. And Maria perfected it and handed it over to us. So let me start by congratulating the winners who are appearing for the Kerala finals. And already you have done well, defeating your rivals at the 10 centers and appearing for the state final. This is a very creditable thing. And some of you are going to come to Bangalore for the South India finals. So by the time you come here, it's 3 levels of competition. And you would have to sharpen, as XIME Kochi said, you would have sharpened your soul so well. And when we're talking about this speaking and debating, why are we in that? We are in that because we are guided by an expression here, transformation of the students. XIME's motto, XIME's mission, XIME's commitment, XIME's passion is to make sure that the students who come here are transformed as leader managers, not just managers, leader managers. That is something special about XIME. And for leadership, one of the short lines is speaking. Speaking, that skill, communication skill, is paramount. No matter what profession you go in, whether you become a professor, whether you become a lawyer, manager, administrator, political leader, no matter where you are, this is one of the most powerful skills, perhaps the most powerful skill that an aspiring young manager must have. So this is part of, as Professor Francis said, it's part of the soul of XIME. And then we said, all right, to remember Maria for the best that she was. We thought this is one way we could remember Maria by bringing in as many students from South India to some common platforms and make them compete, sharpen themselves, and prove themselves as some of the finest communicators. In fact, when you come to Bangalore, that itself will be a distinct recognition. There's a distinct recognition. Now, and I'm sure that out of some of you who would appear here, you would finally appear on the national level sometime. And that's the kind of hope that we have. Some of the 20 or so you are present today, some of you would emerge as great leaders at the national level, no matter which function, which discipline you become, but you must emerge as good. We follow a book here and we speak to students all the time about the book called Good to Great. Good to Great is written by a great author, Jim Collins. And he says that most institutions, most students, most managers are good, not great. And good is the enemy of great, he says. Now, I attempt to make some of you take some of you from good to great, to become great at the national level. Let me wish all of you best of luck, best of experience, best of opportunity at our platform in Kochi. And to the organizers, my colleagues and employees, let me say thank you. I see this Reva and Sina Dina who are mostly the organizers. My very special thanks to you and the director, the deans and all others who work so devoutly, so passionately, so committedly to make this function. Every year it's going up to standards. I have been there and Professor Semester said we started much before XIME became. We started in 87. So this is the 35th year. And I was there all the 35 years. And I've seen it moving up and up and up, and particularly in Kerala. I'm so happy to see the standard. So I sit through and this is what we do. So let me wish you the best once again. And let me thank my organizing colleagues for a wonderful show that have put together. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your involving words.
10 teams from the prestigious colleges from Kerala are here in XIME Kochi to compete for the Maria Philip Memorial, a rolling trophy, and a cash prize of rupees 30,000 and the runners-up with rupees 20,000.
Before we begin, we would like to congratulate all the winners of the zonal rounds which were held between the months of October and December.
We have now reached the segment of the day you all have been waiting for, the portion for which you, the winning teams in the zonal rounds, have been preparing rigorously for. Before we commence the competition, let me have the privilege of introducing our esteemed panel of judges.
Chairing the judging panel, we have Miss Anisha Cherian, the President of Thai Kerala and Founding Manager and Managing Director at Chandigarh Academy and Systems Private Limited. Ms. Cherian is the first woman to hold the presidential post in Thai Kerala. She had initiated and led the TYE, that is the Young Entrepreneurs Project of Thai Kerala, from 2017 to 2021. Being a person who believes that an entrepreneurial mindset is a resilient problem-solving mindset which is turned into opportunities, Ms. Cherian's mission is to inculcate this resilient entrepreneurial mindset and skill set in youngsters, organizational teams, and especially women entrepreneurs to make them financially independent and empowered. Other positions adorned by Ms. Cherian were member of CII Kerala State Council 2019 and 2020, founding member of Raising Our Voices Foundation ROV 2014, a registered society to empower women, children, and gender crime victims, advisor to Women Entrepreneurs Network, an NGO with over 700 members. A warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Next, we have Ms. Molly Suri, who is a passionate teacher with a post-graduation in sociology and teaching degree. She has 31 years of experience in teaching and school management. Ms. Suri believes in the power of education and believes that education is the key to social change. She is currently the advisory board member of the Charter School and Cochin International School. She previously served as a principal, dean, and director of the Charter School and as the principal of the Choice School. Prior to this, she was also the Director of Education at the Choice School. Ms. Molly Cyril holds many academic laurels, some of which are the Honor Certificate for Contribution to Education from the Leyland Stanford Junior University School of Engineering in 2017 and was awarded as Dedicated Educator and Mentor from Stanford University in 2013. Warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Finally, we have Mr. Johnson Matthew, Chief Human Resources Officer of EVM Motors and Vehicles Limited, Cochin. Mr. Matthew holds a postgraduate degree in PM and IR from Rajgiri B School, Cochin. With 32 years of professional experience in HR and IR, some of his previous organizations are Indian Aluminum Co. Limited, Tata Telecom Limited, and Popular Vehicles and Services Limited. He is the recipient of NIPM Best HR Manager Award as well as the Kerala Management Association's Manager of the Year Award 2018. Mr. Johnson Matthew also serves as the Honorary Treasurer of KMA as well as an advisory board member of Berkman's Institute of Management, Changanasheri. He was the past Vice Chairman of NIPM Kerala chapter as well as the past President of Rotary Club of Kalmasheri. Thank you, sir, for gracing us with your presence.
For the benefit of the judges and to remind the contestants, I will be going through the rules of the debate once again. One speaker will speak for the motion and the other will speak against the motion for 4 minutes each. There will be a warning bell after 3.5 minutes and another at 4 minutes to signify that the time has ended. There will not be any cross rebuttal rounds. There will be negative markings for exceeding the 4 minutes time limit. Teams should not wear their college uniforms or blazers indicating the name of the institute or mention the name of the institution during the competition. After the team speeches are over, the members are requested to stay seated in the hall.
Without any further ado, let's kickstart the state finals of the Maria Philip Future Leaders Debate Competition. We wish all the participants the very best of luck.
I request all the contestants, except for the first team, to kindly move out of the auditorium. Our volunteers will escort you to the waiting room.
I kindly invite all the judges to please take their seats at the tables.
Team member 1A speaking for the motion.
Zoom, Meet, Teams. These are not just English words, but apps that took over the world of learning over the last few years. So, should we be optimistic or skeptical about it? My money is on the latter. Good morning, everyone. I am standing here speaking for the motion on the topic virtual learning is a disaster. We call it virtual learning or e-learning, but is it actually learning if it has negative impact on education itself? Virtual learning has caused severe cases of learning loss. It was reported that in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the students of grade 5 have learned 75% less in online classes. This has significantly reduced their grades, especially in maths and science. One can say that education is not only about grades, but about wholesome development and nurturing of a student. But it is seen that virtual education cannot fulfill this as well. This can especially be seen in case of dyslexic and autistic students for whom presence of skilled professionals with live interactions cannot be substituted by some flashy screen that just utters out words. Virtual education mostly focuses on theoretical studies rather than hands-on applications. This limits education itself to only certain disciplines and not to many fields like sports or surgery that needs more practical approach. Also, face-to-face communication is very limited in virtual environment. In a world where 97% of communication is non-verbal, students not having proper communication skills shouldn't be a surprise. But virtual education just worsens the situation. Students are also trapped in a state of hikikomori, a very popular term in Japanese culture, which means a pathological form of social withdrawal. This causes many mental health problems, which ranges from anxiety to depression to fatigue, also called as Zoom fatigue in the COVID era. A recent study by Beck Depression Inventory stated that 56% of students in online education suffer from depression and 18% of them have suicidal thoughts. Now, virtual education also harms physical health. With increase in screen time, myopia and retinal problems can be caused. Along with that, many problems like obesity, insomnia, and chronic health conditions like diabetes are caused. It was reported recently that in Qasim region of Saudi Arabia, a study was conducted and 69.8% of students suffered from digital eye strain due to virtual classes. Now coming to the technical aspect, I want to talk about three main cases. First of all, India is ranked 73rd out of 120 countries in digital literacy. So here, if students and teachers are not being able to use online tools to its fullest potential, we shouldn't be surprised. And secondly, even if they know how to use them, our country is a developing country with 16.4% below poverty line. Here, only 47% of households have complete access to free internet, and in that case, this shows how economic gap can cause education gap. Also, in the third case, students are stuck in a cycle or a loop of procrastination, malpractice during exam, and definitely access to internet in a bad way. To conclude, I just want to say, in an era of rising online harassment, scams, and issues, and toxic influences, saying virtual education is a disaster is really an understatement. Thank you.
Thank you, one day. You may be seated on the hot chair. Now, can we have one week to deliver your points against the motion?
Imagine how wonderful it would be to hold the earth on your palms, zoom in and zoom out, look closely into its mountains, plains, and rivers, rather than just reading a textbook which says earth is round, it has many mountains, plains, rivers, etc. Certainly, it makes a great difference. And that difference is virtual learning. Good morning to one and all gathered here. Today, I will be speaking against the motion, virtual learning is a disaster. Rather, virtual learning will shape the future of global education system. The global e-learning market size was valued at $197 billion in 2020, which is projected to reach $840 billion by 2030. In this scenario, I would like to address certain issues associated with virtual learning raised by my opponent. My opponent has suggested that holistic development of students get hampered via virtual learning. As we all know, this is an era where upgrading of our skills is an absolute necessity. Taking the case of India alone, skill development through e-learning has gained much importance, especially due to the challenges posed by COVID-19. Online training programs have helped students from Tier 3 cities gain skills that were earlier available in their cities by traditional mode of education. It is due to the short-term online courses that many students across India are able to access hot and demand skills like Python and web development, machine learning, data analysis, and so on. Many free courses are being offered by platforms like SWAYAM, NCRT, SCRT, UGC, and the list goes on. So virtual learning will in fact help in the overall development of a student. According to IBM statistics, productivity of employees can be increased by 50% because now employees are able to access training programs at their own convenient time. I would like to highlight another point. My opponent suggested that in Brazil, she presented a case in Brazil where learning loss happened because of inability to teach maths and science effectively via virtual platform. But here, I would like to highlight a World Bank report about Ecuador. In Ecuador, the Ministry of Higher Education put forth a system of artificial intelligence-based academic support in maths to students. When they began the program, the students could achieve a mastery of just 25% of the math curriculum. But after using it for 16 consecutive weeks, their mastery level increased to 68.7%. This proficiency or this achievement that they gained from a short span of 4 months equals the amount of learning that they would get only after 1 year of schooling. Also, my opponent highlighted mental health issues associated with virtual learning. A survey conducted in 2016 among 40 urban schools in Bihar pointed out that about 50% of the surveyed students reported cases of depression, among which 7% reported serious depression. So mental health issues exist in traditional schooling systems as well. So instead of just comparing the figures of mental health issues in online versus offline education, we need to shift our focus on recognizing these type of health issues and promptly correcting them. My friend has also somehow connected digital illiteracy with virtual learning is a disaster. But a quarter of a country's population is still illiterate. Does that mean learning itself is a disaster? Not at all. Reduced cost of staffing, cost effectiveness, flexibility, anytime, anywhere learning are some of the added benefits associated with virtual learning. So I strongly believe that saying virtual learning is a disaster is seriously an overstatement. Thank you.
That was team 1. May we now call team 2 to the stage. We now have member 2A speaking for the motion.
Hello, yeah. Can I start?
Yes.
Good morning, all. Virtual education is a boon, right? However, and many people actually have claimed it on social media that it was a long overdue marriage between education and technology. However, many people actually who were supposed to receive it in a positive light did not receive it as so. And those people are, unfortunately, students and teachers. I mean, yes, virtual education was a good substitute during the COVID-19 pandemic. But is it a good substitute for traditional education systems? No. Why? Virtual education is a system that is rife with problems. Some of the problems are there's a lack of interpersonal communication between the students and teachers. And the problem is because of the isolation from other classmates, they have no competitive spirits whatsoever. Thirdly, the problem is there is no student motivation. I mean, quite honestly, let's be honest here. Who would choose studying calculus or watching stand-up comedy on YouTube? Another problem is that because they're not in the classroom, their concentration skills also cannot develop. So, what is the alternative? What is the alternative method here? It is the traditional method of education, which is because they have many advantages. Some of the advantages of traditional methods of education are there is personal engagement. Personal engagement is, and I firmly believe that education happens when people with diverse ideas come together and share these ideas. However, virtual education takes out the people element out of the equation. So, what is another problem of virtual education? See, in traditional education, students have to consume education material so that they have to appear in exams. However, in a virtual model, there's no need for appearing in examinations, especially in a classroom or in other places. So this drastically affects their concentration skills. Not to mention, not being in a classroom does not help in developing their uh, character. It drastically affects their character development skills. So, I conclude this argument by quoting Socrates, the Greek philosopher. He said, and I quote, education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling up of a vessel. However, virtual education only manages to fill an individual's head with ideas. However, it lacks the flame to light it. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, 2A. You may be seated on the hot chair. Now, can we have 2B to deliver your points against the motion?
Good morning, everyone. Today I am here to speak against the motion. Virtual learning, as the name itself suggests, that it's an education in the form of it's an education which is done in an online platform, as opposed to a traditional or conventional learning method in which a teacher teaches a small group of people in a classroom at a fixed time and a fixed place. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and it is well said that necessity is the mother of all inventions. So during the pandemic era, when everybody was at home and there was a call for a new education system, it gave way to a new pace of technological advancements in education institution, and it also made the introduction of tech-savvy teachers and students. The pandemic also made the world shift from the global, made the world shift from the traditional education system to virtual education system. And also it made the people aware of the advantages of virtual education. There are many advantages for virtual education, and I would like to say some of those. One main advantage is that it gave the students freedom to choose from what to learn, when to learn, where to learn, and from whom to learn. And the main advantage of virtual education is that it gives a personalized learning experience to the students. The students, as it is common knowledge that every person is unique and has unique personalities, talents, desires, interests, etc. So virtual learning gives these students the best education from the best teachers, from the best learning way possible. And another main advantage is that the cost of learning is really low as compared to traditional education. And the government itself has acknowledged these advantages and made sure that they have programs for focusing on virtual education. For example, in July 2020, Ministry of Education has implemented the National Education Policy, which focuses more on virtual education. And they have also created online portals like Diksha and Swayam, and also made available study materials for students in NCRT websites. And also, if virtual education was a disaster, more students would not have enrolled in virtual education, and virtual education would not have become a billion-dollar business. So I would like to conclude by quoting Donna J. Agarnathi, a famous author and e-learning researcher. Online learning is not the next big thing, but it is the now next best thing. So thank you.
That was team 2. We now have on the stage team member 3A speaking for the motion. Team 2 can be seated on the hall.
Virtual learning has been a roller coaster experience. One where you're constantly screaming, but not out of joy. A very warm and hearty good morning, one and all. No one was arguing until last year that virtual learning was a bad substitute for in-person instruction. The inferiority of virtual learning was underscored only when every teacher, parent, and student had to endure the sad and drawn-out mess of virtual learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. Let us get a quick idea about what is virtual learning. Virtual learning refers to an environment where a digital-based curriculum is taught by a faculty presenting online via video or audio. While on the other hand, real classrooms involves physical interactions with the teacher and peers. As a year 20 student, I believe that online learning can never replace real classrooms. Pupils in all age ranges struggled with the impact of digital classrooms, with many feeling isolated and inadequately supported. And it led to many other problems, which leads to mental health issues like heightened stress, anxiety, and negative thoughts. Online instructors tend to focus on theory, making e-learning unsuitable for fields like medical science and engineering, which require a certain degree of hands-on practical experience. Lack of accreditation and quality assurance, along with untrained instructors, made the situation worse. Reports indicate that 25% of the global population is still computer illiterate, implying that the quarter of so-called developed world cannot even access e-learning as an educational tool. Let me ask you all a question. Don't we spend a frightening amount of time in front of the screens? I know it's pretty much inevitable in 2022, but excessive screen time can lead to all sorts of physical ailments like poor posture or headaches. And virtual learning sadly contributes to this problem, accompanied by abundant distractions and a lack of discipline. Cheating remains a major problem, as it is easier for online students to commit malpractice. Additionally, without a proper identity verification system in place, students can let a third party take the assessment instead of themselves, resulting in a wholly fraudulent test result. And one of the major villains of virtual learning is the creeping digital surveillance. Many of us, including myself, neither had the time to read the provider's terms and conditions nor the legal knowledge to understand them. Spaces that were previously out of reach for data brokers, institutions, and edtech providers like student and staff homes, bedrooms, or wherever the best connectivity could be found were suddenly up for grabs. There is a real danger and potentially a disaster waiting in the wings if we do not take into account the ethical implications of using student data. Teaching and learning online also reveals vulnerabilities, privacy concerns, trust issues, and intergenerational challenges. Many realize that students and staff who did not want to switch on their cameras might be among those thousands sharing their living, sleeping, cooking, and intimate spaces with many others. The reality that virtual learning poses a serious risk is something that many individuals still struggle with. This is merely the beginning of a major catastrophe waiting to happen. So don't kid yourself. Get ready to admit the fact that virtual learning was, is, and will be a disaster. Thank you.
Thank you, 3A. You may be seated on the hot chair. Now, can we have 3B to deliver your points against the motion?
Much education today is monumentally ineffective. All too often, we are giving young people cut flowers when we should be teaching them how to grow their own plants, says John W. Gardner. Good morning to one and all. Today, I would like to impassionately claim that virtual learning is not a disaster. It's obvious that the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted an education system that many assert was already losing its relevance. The new normal is a transformed concept of education with virtual learning at the core of this transformation. Virtual learning is revolutionizing education. Standard educational pedagogy was a norm for years, but digital learning has made people reimagine education because it has better assistive technologies and opportunities for deep learning and building skills, thereby tackling the challenges of traditional classroom setting. A great perk of virtual learning is that it enhances the learner's retention rate to 25 to 60%, but while having one-on-one tutoring, it's just 8 to 10%. Students tend to have more control over the process. They have the freedom to juggle their careers in schools because they are not tied down to a fixed schedule as in a traditional classroom setting. Virtual learning includes a full spectrum of possibilities, starting with early childhood education and including college preparation, a complete learning program. As of Emeritus Impact Survey, 94% of its total respondents believes that virtual learning positively impacts their career as it allows students and professors to connect within the very comfort of their own houses, even if situated 100 miles apart. Learners can attend their classes while having time on their commute. Another great advantage is that it supports asynchronous learning. Students need not be part of live lectures or discussions and can have access to instructional material at their convenience. But skeptics have created several myths that we need to debunk before transitioning effectively without knowledge and skill sharing being disrupted. First off, the belief that virtual learning is monotonous and laptops and internet with mobile with internet connectivity can cause unnecessary interruptions is not quite right. Studies prove that students tend to learn more through audio and visuals rather than books. Therefore, mediums like YouTube and podcasts help them understand their topic better and grasp the concept faster. Another belief is that it's not feasible for those who are not techie savvy and don't have advanced knowledge of gadget functions. But the point is, everyone, young and old, those who are conversant with and averse to technology, has to embrace technology and live with it. A weak argument which states that students prefer face-to-face interactive learning is a subtle form of resistance. We should be aware of the current tools that largely serve this purpose. For instance, breakout rooms in Zoom calls allow small rooms to be created with the instructor being able to visit each of these rooms and can interact with the students. Newer tools are being designed where the instructor can call even on video conferences, and the participants can be invited to contribute. We know it's hard to understand the notion of leaving behind the conventional classroom setting, especially if it's to face such a vast space called internet. However, it's not the right reason to shy away from this alternative because it is proven to be valid and useful for many students. The point is, we live in an ever-changing world ripe with new possibilities. The ability to learn a new information or a new skill whenever and wherever you want offers far more opportunities than ever before. Therefore, we must embrace the very idea of virtual learning, which is definitely a boon for all of us. Thank you.
That was Team 3. We now have Team 4 in the stage. Team member 4A speaking for the motion.
25th June 2020 was yet another day of online class for Arushi, when suddenly the online meeting was hacked and obscene videos were displayed on the screen. The hackers even threatened the students and teacher. This is not an isolated incident in Kolkata. Classes in Mumbai, Karnataka, Gujarat, and even Singapore and China witnessed such atrocious acts. Need I say more? Yes, indeed. So a very good morning to one and all. I stand to speak for the motion, firmly holding that virtual learning is a disaster. Our generation has grown up with the seamless penetration of the internet and technology into our educational system. But wasn't it the villain all along? Let me explain. Firstly, the virtual world is hazardous for the purpose of learning. Using online learning material requires guidance to assure its quality. That's not all. Human Rights Watch found that 89% of 164 virtual learning apps and services tracked and shared children's personal data and online activities and shared them with advertisers like Google and Facebook. Destructive viruses, pornographic content, cyber crimes, and the anonymity of the interacting individuals, in the case of distance education, are the multitude of factors that worsen ethical difficulties. Asynchronous virtual classes or anytime, anywhere learning is not as appealing as it sounds. There is no proper schedule, time, location, or consistency for the student, but instead a heap of online and offline distractions. In addition, excessive screen time is correlated with increasing myopia and obesity and shorter attention spans. Concurrently, virtual learning has taken a toll on the mental health of students with increasing stress, anxiety, and fatigue, and social isolation. Virtual learning is not all-inclusive. A recent report of the UNICEF and the ITU stated that 1.3 billion school-aged children do not have internet connection in their homes. In the wake of the pandemic, there were several cases in our own country of students committing suicide because they couldn't attend online classes. This digital canyon creates a huge gap between social classes. In parallel, the challenges of children with special needs is not addressed by these virtual learning platforms. All this is pointing towards the growing inequities in our educational system. And where there is money involved, there swoops in the profit-hungry capitalists. The e-learning industry was worth $200 billion in 2020 and is predicted to reach around $900 billion in 2030. The commodification of education will take out the glorious purpose of knowledge itself. Learning is primarily a social activity, not confined to simple classroom learning. So when we displace ourselves into these invisible classrooms, we are forced into a mechanical and repetitive exercise that kills our creative and emotional instincts. So if virtual field trips and virtual science labs are the new normal for practical education, then my words hitherto would have served the same purpose as those ghosts of classrooms sans students. I can say with conviction that virtual learning will never truly deliver, because we as students and human beings above that need a substantial connection with other humans, something no virtual world or AI can ever mimic. Thank you.
Thank you, 4A. You may be seated on the hot chair. Can we now have 4B to deliver his points against the motion?
$3.5 million. Ladies and gentlemen, more than 3.5 million students have enrolled in the course named CS50, which is Harvard University's Introduction to Computer Science. One of the most desired courses worldwide, freely available on the internet. Now the same course, when the very same Professor David Malin teaches at Harvard, has an enrollment of just 800 students in a year, which is in fact very high for an offline class. Now this means, if Professor David considered virtual learning as a disaster, it would take him 4,375 years to teach the same number of students. Quite humanly possible, right? A very warm greetings to everyone. Today I stand by the opposition of the motion, vehemently believing that the very notion established by the proposition that virtual learning is a disaster is absolutely baseless. Now, before I move on with my constructives, I think it is extremely important to point out two major matrices on which this debate is being weighed on: the term virtual learning and disaster. With that being said, I would like to contextualize the key aids of virtual learning which the proposition has smoothly ignored. One of the key benefits of virtual learning is that it allows great flexibility and accessibility. With virtual learning, students can access their course materials and participate in class from anywhere in the world as long as they have an internet connection. This means that students who live in remote areas, who have disabilities or have other commitments that makes it difficult for them to attend in-person classes can still receive high quality education. Another benefit of virtual learning is that it allows students to learn at their own pace. In traditional classrooms, students are forced to keep up with the pace of the class even if they do not fully understand the material. But with virtual learning, students can take as much time as they need to understand the material, as they can rewatch lectures or review course materials as many times as they need to. This can be especially beneficial for students who have learning disabilities or who need extra time to process information. Another benefit of virtual learning is that it allows more personalized learning experience. With virtual learning, students can choose the courses that are most relevant to their personal interest and goals, and they can work with their instructors to create a learning plan that is tailored to their needs. This can be especially beneficial for students who are self-motivated and who want to take control of their own learning. Furthermore, virtual learning is not as isolating as the proposition claims. In fact, many online courses provide a variety of opportunities for students to interact with their instructors and with their peers. And they can work with their instructors to create one-on-one interactions with the use of virtual office hours. This can be especially beneficial for students to create a sense of community and support even if they are not physically present in the classroom. Now, virtual learning doesn't necessarily mean just online classes. Using augmented reality, virtual reality, projectors, smart boards, and even a simple Google search is a subset of virtual learning. Panel, the point of contention in today's debate is the word disaster. If the proposition was claiming that virtual learning cannot be a better alternative or cannot replace traditional learning, then I would have stopped my arguments then and there itself. But that's not the case here. They are demeaning it as an absolute disaster. And it is ludicrous, ladies and gentlemen. It is utterly ludicrous of the proposition to blindly ignore all the opportunities and possibilities of virtual learning and to seamlessly deem it as an absolute disaster. With that, I rest my case. For the above stated reasons, I have never been more prouder to oppose the motion. Thank you.
That was Team 4. We now call Team 5 to the stage. We now have on the stage team member 5A speaking for the motion.
A recent survey claimed that 78% of Indian population believed that they cannot learn half of what they should be learning in traditional classrooms. Another survey by a tech company called Team E stated that 85% of their respondents believe that they can only learn 40 to 60% of what they should be actually learning. These are not just mere data or analysis to prove that virtual education is a disaster. These are the lives of students who were severely affected by virtual education. Dear judges and my dear friends, I'm here to speak for the motion on the topic, virtual education is a disaster. During COVID-19 pandemic, everything shifted online, from food delivery to the delivery of goods and even education. From small children onwards, they have been in online education. What has been their condition? Terrible, we can say. Among young children, over 1 hour of a screen time is considered as a bad development. It hampers their brain development, it hampers their posture, it hampers several social skills that they need to get in a traditional classroom support. Another survey claimed that in India, only 20% of students had access to the basic necessities of internet connection. And in that, only 20% had the chance to be in class actively. This is the condition of India. When we look worldwide, UN report states that 99% of underdeveloped and developing countries, in those countries, virtual education and the closure of education institutions have caused tremendous amount of problems among these students. Not just physical problems, but also mental health issues has been caused by virtual education. Even we have a lifestyle condition on a Zoom fatigue right now. What is that? Overuse of Zoom calls, overuse of Gmeet creating stress, a higher level of stress creating several problems among young minds. And this has not been addressed at all. And now, let's move on to something even more pressing, the digital divide in this country. Digital divide, the 21st century born inequality, we can say. Digital divide in this country has been increasing, And one of the major claims that virtual education had was education at your fingertips. How can you say education is at your fingertips when people cannot have access to it? How will the accessibility of virtual education be defined? Because people have no internet connection in the first place. And how, other than that, it's a disaster, we can say, because people didn't have basic amenities in the first place to access it. Virtual education has been claiming, or has been claimed to be beneficial, creating several institutions, several ways in which people can learn. But learning through virtual education, as compared to traditional education, which is more advantageous? Traditional education, let's say. Traditional education helps people to talk to each other, develop their social skills, develop their leadership skills. In a physical setup, we can learn about each other, we can learn about their skills, we can exchange our thoughts, we can exchange our views, which helps us to develop thought process, which helps us to develop social skills, language skills. Young children, let's say, they are taught to go to places, they are taught in Anganwadis, they are taught in play schools. For what? To exchange their views, to exchange their ideas. But is this possible in virtual setup? Is this possible in an online setup? Our answer is no. Online education has caused several problems: gender disparity, digital divide, and many more. This is one of the major issues we have today. Let me conclude by stating a very simple fact. Virtual education has indeed been a disaster. It created several problems: a digital division in this country, clawed back to the mental health of the people in this country, among young minds, and lashed out at the very basic necessity, or the very basic thing that held humankind together, that is societal relationship. And virtual education has not been able to achieve any of this. Thank you.
Thank you, 5A. You may be seated on the hot chair. Now, can we have 5B to deliver your points against the motion?
The last century introduced a whole new plethora to mankind. A vibrant dream where information came to your fingertips, where the wonders of the human brain manifested itself in technology. And despite a grave pandemic that costed nothing less than human lives, if education continues to light this globe, we owe this to the boon of technology. Good morning, respected judges and my dear friends. I am here to speak against the motion, virtual learning is a disaster. On the face of endless apprehensions regarding classrooms going virtual, as a dynamic population, it is our moral responsibility to understand the various benefits offered by this very virtual learning. Inclusivity is a key feature of virtual learning, with a large number of students coming out of their shells of social insecurity and lack of confidence. Recent studies have shown that among online students, 60% of online students have reported that online education helped them improve their soft skills, whereas 63% of online students registered for an online program because it was more aligned with their social, work, and life responsibilities. Real crises facing humanity, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, proved the necessity of virtual learning more than ever. If today the entire student community can bear the relief of not being stuck in a 2-year frozen clock of time, we owe this blessing to an amazing system of virtual learning. Studies were continued, technology was absorbed, and classroom communities remained evergreen as ever. To the very obvious question raised by my worthy opponent regarding digital divide and the prevalence of accessibility issues in India comes the initiatives formulated and implemented by the Department of School Education and Literacy under the Ministry of Human Resources Development, such as Diksha, Shikshavan, e-Pathshala, and the National Repository for Open Educational Resources. In fact, the 2022 Union Budget announced the extension of the PM e-Vidya channel to 200 TV stations located across India. Yes, governmental support and public trust are the two key factors for the success of virtual learning, rather than endless emotional aspersions or rather unfounded prejudices and biases. A society without grave issues is a far-fetched dream. What we must realize is that the education which survived today through classrooms wearing the virtual robe will inevitably be a voice against many menaces, against women being exploited, against children being trafficked, against corruption menacing our entire system. With immediate feedback, accessibility to global cultures, and enhanced flexible learning methods as its greatest benefits. Beyond all these, we shall forever be indebted to virtual learning for a simple yet supreme reason. It is education which is being sustained in this planet. This planet is prevented from forgetting the alphabet. And when a more nobler deed cannot be accomplished for humanity, I hereby conclude by once again asserting that instead of being a disaster, virtual learning prevented the biggest nemesis of a generation growing uneducated and unaware. Yes, the dawn of dynamism is at our doorstep in the form of virtual learning. Thank you.
That was Team 5. Now we are taking a small pause for 5 minutes. Please don't leave the hall.
study and work in some of the finest B schools of the world. started with XLR at Jamshedpur, Harvard Business School, and then coming as director of IIM Bangalore. In between, vice president at Oberoi Hotels Group. All these experiences have given me certain international quality standards and perspectives. It is with that background we started XIME in 1991. And of course, I had some senior colleagues helping me in that process.
I want to explore myself.
I tried to learn every possible corporate skills and practices.
I always wanted to be a corporate entrepreneur.
I decided to enroll myself in one of the best business schools in the country. Beyond academic curriculum, we learn management training, social etiquettes, and exposure to sports, games, art, and cultural activities.
Every moment here is enchanting. We have been ranked 9th best B school in the country by Ed Universal Paris and also been ranked 12th best private B school in the country according to CSR GHRDC survey. XIME is accredited for the quality by ACBSP USA and also honored with the prestigious Madras Management Association's Award for Managerial Excellence. We have also been accoladed with the Innovation Award by DNA Mumbai.
So it's 25 years now. And it was an extremely satisfying 25 years. Building up this institution from scratch. We started at St. Martha's Hospital compound in a 3,000 square feet asbestos shed. From there, we built this institution. Then we built a beautiful one in Kochi and a still more beautiful one in Chennai. A lot of good people helped us. Industry, trusts, philanthropic families, philanthropic friends.
We connect to the world with infinite Wi-Fi internet facility in the campus.
We learn from our classrooms and webinar.
Our conference halls mold our management skills through conferences, seminars, and debates.
Our well-modern computer labs sharpens our IT skills.
We unwind ourselves when we are in the ultra-modern state-of-the-art Audi. We sing, dance, learn, act, and many more. Our learning is extended to our very well-stocked library. I love being in this part of my campus.
A healthy body is the core of creative and dynamic activity. A great way to luxuriate being in the gyms and while in the sports arena.
Our two-year program is a strong knowledge-based program covering all fields and techniques in management.
We will now resume. Can we have team 6 in this auditorium? Team member 6A speaking for the motion. Judges, please know this is team 6.
Good morning, everyone. The challenges that students and educators face in terms of virtual learning are numerous. Virtual learning meant the flattening of the collaborative magic, that is, the classroom, into mere instructional videos. It is stripped of highly engaging and active classroom activities and close human interpersonal connections, which stand in stark contrast to the conventional and traditional methods that we are used to, that the individuals of today have been molded through by holistic education. The critics of online learning would obviously note down that there are several extremely bad challenges that virtual learning platform students have to face. The practical component of learning actually suffers. Learning actually involves both theoretical and practical methods as well. When the theoretical approaches are more done on the online basis, practical approaches have to take a backlag. Fields or subjects that require practical aids are obviously undergo a severe lag when it comes to e-learning. Issues in lack of accreditation and quality assurance actually cripple the legitimacy that is virtual learning platforms. Then, when we look at after this historic disruption of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was actually evident that about 1.5 billion students were affected due to the pandemic. Why was that? Around 67% of students globally reported suffering from extremely mental and physical ailments. According to a study done by the Descartes-era Students Research Association, actually put forward that around 56% of the participants that actually took place in this study had displayed severe symptoms of depression, and 18% have high levels of stress. The major predictor of this, the major significant predictor of depression were the factors that were related to e-learning, such as isolation from friends and acquaintances, worsening grades, reduced motivation to learn. When we take away the lack of proper communication skills, obviously it renders the particular student not being able to actually express themselves. If they can't impart the knowledge that they have learned, how do we actually prepare the student to go forward in life? Learning as a whole prepares an individual to face life, and learning and virtual platforms do not actually complete that objective. Then, when we move on to the physical health of students, that also suffered a major backlog when severe postural problems such as backache, headaches, fatigue, lethargy, and irritability were reported according to a study which was done by the Lucknow-based Springdale College students on a study titled The Impact of Online Learning and Well-Being. Due to this, we can see that the student mental health and physical health were also extremely affected due to virtual learning and virtual learning platforms. Hence, I would like to conclude that till this date, there is no platform that has been devised that is superior academically to having the teacher and the student in the same room. Thank you.
Thank you, 6A. You may be seated in the hot chair. We now have team member 6B speaking against the motion.
Good morning, everyone. Virtual learning is a boon and never a disaster. Students remember 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, and 50% of what they see and hear, says D.G. Treichler, a renowned researcher, as stated in the journal Trends in Cognitive Sciences. The new education method introduced by the central government promotes the virtual learning. The 40% of the new curriculum promotes virtual learning. The conventional chalk and talk method is no more viable, as the syllabus used in it remain unrevised for several years, causing impediment to students. The well-known IBM company in its survey found that students learn 5% more material in their learning as they use the virtual learning method than the conventional face-to-face method. Over 80% of companies and 50% of institutions have shifted to e-learning. Srikanth K, a native of Munnar, who worked at Ernakulam railway station as a porter, worked heavily, and he was the breadwinner of his family. Poverty deprived him of his education, but he made use of the free Wi-Fi available at the railway station for learning over the YouTube contents and online contents. Thus, he passed KPSC exam in the year 2018 at the age of 27. And this year, he also passed UPSC exam. And today, he is an IAS officer. This was possible only because of virtual learning. The world-class universities like Harvard, MIT in Boston, Oxford, Cambridge, and others have made provision for virtual learning in their courses. They know the importance of virtual learning. If it is a disaster, why should they insist on virtual learning? During the COVID pandemic, the educational system across the world survived only because of virtual learning. Virtual learning widens the horizon of an individual's mentality, and it also provides a wide range of job opportunities. Virtual learning is so very easily accessible. It is very convenient for students to access from anywhere. Even those who are handicapped can access it, and they have benefited much. Hence, I categorically prove that virtual learning is a boon and never a disaster. Thank you.
That was Team 6. We now call Team 7 on the stage. We now have on the stage team member 7A speaking for the motion.
When asked to recall your experiences of your school life, you usually conjure up images of silly games, long walks around school grounds, and also your other hilarious escapades. But when you present this question to students of virtual learning, you will be confronted with a stare of pure confusion. Other than studies, exams, and a blur of faces across the screen, their memories usually rarely consist of anything more. A very good morning to one and all present here. Today I stand to prove beyond a doubt that virtual learning is indeed a disaster. I intend to elucidate my positions by first elaborating the severe drawbacks of virtual learning, examining its effects on students, and finally proposing some solutions to our current system of virtual learning. At a glance, this learning environment seems harmless, delightful even. The thought of attending classes from the comfort of your bed seems dreamlike to students everywhere. But the very existence of virtual learning is the biggest proof of the fact that we as a society have a completely oversimplified view of education as a whole. The purpose of schooling goes beyond drilling in the basics of math, science, and language. Children are being robbed of an environment where their interaction with peers and teachers leads, builds, and enriches their character. Furthermore, virtual learning might just give birth to a generation teeming with stunted social skills, severe anxiety, and other mental issues. Furthermore, studies prove that virtual learning is disastrous even when it comes to student performance. Studies in 2020 show that the switch to virtual learning has led to decreased performance. Online coursework yields lesser performance than in-person learning. Even the graduation rates of students have gone well below during the onset of the pandemic.
A student survey shows that students felt less connected to their peers and teachers and even led to their mental health issues. Furthermore, thank you.
Thank you, 7A. You may be seated on the hot chair. Now, we have 7B to deliver your points against the motion.
Imagine a car from 50 years ago. Now imagine one from today. Better yet, imagine a phone from 50 years ago. And think of one today. Now, imagine a classroom from 50 years ago and one of today. The same old benches, the same old desks, the same old practices. I ask you only one question. With our phones and vehicles making massive strides over the years, why do our classrooms still look exactly the same? A very good morning to one and all present here. I resolutely stand against the motion virtual learning is a disaster. I intend to elucidate my position by presenting a wide array of its benefits, providing scientific reasoning for its superiority, and exploring the scope in its future. The pathways of virtual learning have existed for a long time, but it took one of the biggest global crises in recent history to propel us into the future. Now, the full list of its benefits are so long that I could use all my 4 minutes elaborating just that. So allow me to focus on two main advantages unique to virtual learning that substantially prove its indispensability for the future generation: versatility and accessibility. The sheer versatility of virtual learning is unprecedented. It proves to be an effective mode of teaching almost any topic under the sun, from simple ABCs to the vast complexities of coding. The facilities of virtual learning create a vibrant sensory experience that can teach various subjects in such a way that traditional classrooms just cannot compete with. Moreover, virtual learning has made education accessible to a wide array of individuals. All students need to explore the depths of the ocean, the filaments of amoeba, the rings of Saturn, is simply an internet connection. Ladies and gentlemen, knowledge is power. And with today's technological advancements, you have all the power you need at your fingertips. Virtual learning also has its fair share of supporters in science. Research shows that on average, students retain 25 to 60% more material while learning online compared to only 8 to 10% in classrooms. E-learning also requires 40 to 60% less time to learn than in traditional classroom settings because students can learn at their own pace, going back and rereading or accelerating through topics as they choose. When it comes to teaching, virtual learning environments have a much higher sensory impact than any traditional teaching techniques. That's why they stimulate memory to a high degree. Moreover, online learning has decreased energy consumption by 90% and carbon dioxide emissions by 85%. Virtual learning has only taken its first few steps and its possibilities are limitless. Virtual reality can be combined with learning to create a much more immersive experience. Simulation of high-risk events can be run for professionals like doctors, pilots, soldiers, etc. It also has the unique opportunity to bring students from all around the world in a classroom, further raising borders and opening students up to new cultures. In light of all these possibilities and benefits, labeling it as a disaster due to the faults in its imperfect and hurried execution means you're actively turning a blind eye to cheap, accessible education for the future. The long-awaited marriage between education and technology has finally arrived, and I implore you to stand with me as I firmly oppose this motion. Thank you.
That was Team 7. We now call Team 8 onto the stage. Team member 8A speaking for the motion.
Aristotle has said,
Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. A warm good morning to one and all. Today, I'm going to speak for the motion. Virtual learning is a disaster. Yes, virtual learning is a disaster because it does not instill good values like humility, sincerity, integrity, honesty, and kindness in the learners. School is our second home and it is close to our heart. Virtual learning doesn't instill good values. Another point which I would like to say is that direct human engagement is a crucial component of education, but virtual learning doesn't provide it. From long years, we have been following the traditional schooling system, which taught us to respect our teachers, to see our teachers as God. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. This is our traditional schooling system. This is the greatness of our traditional schooling system. Great men like Swami Vivekananda was trained by great teachers such as Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And also great men like Mahatma Gandhi was trained in this traditional schooling system, which taught us to love each other, to respect each other, to value each other. Another point which I would like to note is that online learning does not give importance to practical knowledge. Yes, how can we learn engineering through online? It is not possible. How can we learn medicine through online? How can we learn law through online? It is not possible, my dear friends. It is not possible. Another point is that online learning is just the mugging up of facts. It does not focus on the concepts. Adding to that, I would like to highlight the emerging issue of digital divide. Digital divide is an issue. Education is not the sole right of rich people. Education is the right of every child. True education must be a liberating experience. It must end the elite monopoly. I would also like to add that online education has nothing to do with collaborative learning, but our traditional schooling system has collaborative learning. Online learning does not improve our communication skills. Secondly, our management skills, our organizational skills, our team management skills, as well as our overall social development. Many extracurricular activities cannot be done through online, like sports activities. Learning is not the mugging up of facts. Learning is extracurricular and overall development. That is called as learning. That is learning. Learning is not known as by reading and grasping bookworms. Learning is overall development. I end my words by quoting, good schools, like good societies and good families, cherish and celebrate diversity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, 8A. You may now be seated on the hot chair. Can we now have 8B to deliver your points against the motion?
Good morning, everyone. Having benefited a lot from virtual learning, today I stand against the motion. Virtual learning is a disaster, and instead believe that virtual learning is a bliss. In the situation of a global health crisis, the virtual system of learning have outsourced traditional learning methods and has proved its merit. It helped the world to move on despite being stuck by COVID-19. But still, many reports were published stating that virtual learning is a disaster. But all those were just based on short-term analysis. In the meta-analysis, researchers have found that the flipped classrooms had an overall positive effect on learning achievements with a significant impact on learning motivation. and no significant difference among subjects. This result can be explained by the fact that flipped classrooms can be effective in all domains of learning. For learners, online learning knows no time zones, and distance and education are not an issue. In asynchronous online learning, students can access online materials at any time, while synchronous learning allows real-time interaction between the student and the instructor. Students can use the internet to access up-to-date and relevant learning materials and can communicate with experts in the field they are studying. The online learning also allows situated learning, that is, we can continue our online courses while doing our jobs, and we can complete it at our own pace. For instructors, tutoring can be done at any time and from anywhere. They can update the online learning materials, and students can see the changes at once. If students have access to internet, it is easier for the instructors to direct them to appropriate informations based on their need. If designed properly, virtual education systems can also be used to determine the need and the current learning of the student so as to direct them to appropriate learning materials which will help them achieve their desired learning outcome. Online learning also assures a more fast lesson delivery, as online learnings have a quick start and go straight to the topic and usually wrap it up all in the same sessions. All the other benefits of virtual learning include it instills punctuality, and in the online learning, students doesn't need to accommodate to the group. They can move at their own speed. And this system is also more eco-friendly as it is paperless. In this world, people advancing, let us also advance with virtual learning. And let me conclude my talk with the quote, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Let our shift towards virtual advancement be our first step towards technological advancement and our success." Thank you.
That was Team 8. We now call Team 9 to the stage. We now have on the stage team member 9A speaking for the motion.
Hi, hello. Familiar? That's how, at least I think, my teachers felt when I went to virtual classes. They knew that this mic, in my case, my laptop mic was working, but they knew that I was just playing with them, toying with them. But that was not the student who I was. I was someone who was interested in learning and who wanted to learn. But via virtual learning, that all changed. Today, as I came through in the morning, they asked me to put this up on LinkedIn. And this reminded me of something, of the first time I had opened up LinkedIn. It was in May 2020, I think, when New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo had posted something. He said, in his quite bullish tone, might I rather add, he said, "The future of classrooms is not digital, it is but future of digitalization." What I mean is, I know it's rather confusing. What do you mean it's not digital, but it's the future of digitalization? What he means is, we must remove the idea of physical classrooms completely. And he said he will work together with Bill Gates to ensure that this works out completely. But might I rather add, all those people who jumped on the bandwagon, were they really students or teachers who were excited and enthralled by this idea? No, they were just regular people who you find on LinkedIn, and they were just ready to go along with anything that someone of supposed importance would say. Now, let me show some little statistics to your mind. A study that was conducted about a year ago said that 34%, I repeat, 34% of students who used to be actively interested are no more functioning at their capacities or at their levels that they used to function in. majority of which are just neutrally present in classrooms or are actively disinterested. This is because of virtual learning. Why virtual learning? Our ideas and our supposed theories about how to conduct in societal lives have all gone down the flush. When we wake up, what do we usually do first? We get ourselves ready to ensure that our day is fruitful enough. But via virtual learning, what does really happen? What happens is we are just functioning via systems that have already been created by other people, but not really functioning on our own terms. Terms that have been described to us, that have been given to us by others. Now, if we work on others' terms, are we truly going to be successful? Are we truly going to achieve what is that we want to achieve? Something else. About 5.5 weeks. 5.5 weeks of extra remote learning is given to students from backward classes and students from high poverty and schools. Now, this is not something that you would find in regular schools in physical classrooms. In physical classrooms, all you got to do is be present, and no one is going to check if you're from so-and-so background and so-and-so upbringing. All they got to know is if you're a student in so-and-so organization, then they're here to impart their knowledge. Now, something else. In June 2020, I remember schools were very eager and were coming forward. This is the future. We are very excited about this new idea. I know it is COVID, but let us not focus on that. Let us focus on how the future is now. But as we've gone and as time has progressed, we know what has really happened. We know what the problems are that we face today. And as someone, let me tell you, I'm a first year student of college who is just passed out of school. And as someone who has lived through this with an experience of what virtual learning truly is, I can tell you this is a plight that I do not want anyone else to go through. In conclusion, all I leave you is with this. Why try to fix something that is not even broken? Thank you.
Thank you, 9A. You may be seated on the hot chair. Now we have 9B to deliver her points against the motion.
I took the one less traveled by, and that made all the difference. Yeah, indeed, we took the road not taken, the virtual learning. It has now
bold enough to redesign the way we think, we learn, the way people relate, communicate, and
organize things. It has now grown enough to be a perfect replacement or a substitute to the traditional educational sector all around the world. What then is virtual learning? Virtual learning technically refers to a system where a student studies a digital-based curriculum taught by an instructor that lectures online via audio or video. It can be either, the instruction can be done either in an asynchronous manner, that is a self-paced, or the synchronous manner where you have a real-time environment. Is virtual learning a disaster? Absolutely no, substantially. Virtual learning has enhanced accessibility. Do you have it out? Have it out, just no more waits for a loud redressal session, just Google it out or ask it out, day or night, doesn't matter. Data is at your fingertips. Blessed are those who are able to exploit this and skill themselves to exploit this. The virtual learning has indeed enhanced the digital aptitude among my peers, and it has also cut down the digital divide to reasonable scales. Digital learning is more affordable and as budget friendly. No more travel expenses, no more time loss, no more fuel wastage on consumption and better ecosystem, no more paper wastage, because everything is done online and everything, and fewer trees fallen. It's more convenient and flexible. You're the ship, you're the master of your own ship. Educators around the world were able to give their lectures, deliver their lectures, and ardent avid learners throughout the world were able to access this. And data dissemination capability of virtual learning can in no way be compared to the traditional education sector tactics. Do tend to keep your heads down. Hooray, it's your cake. Virtual learning fosters an inclusive environment where you are able to garner a broader perspective about the world and help and build a community harmony among yourself. According to a study, as per a study conducted by the Arizona State University, it states that those students who took virtual classes benefited from increased access and increased course savings to at least by 50%. as well as the Kentucky Technical College of Engineering, also found that those students who took online classes were 19 percentage more, 19 points more probable to persist, and those were also 21 points more probable to graduate. The studies show that the retention rate and the graduation rate has also increased in the virtual learning era. Not only in the Kentucky University, you can also find the same research in Houston's Community College. They also stated that those students, the retention rate of students in the college was about 8 to 9, increased 8 to 9 percentage during the online or blended online class days. And also the UCF found that those students who took 40 to 59 percentage of their class online were more could complete their course half a year earlier than the rest of the peers. And that's a wrap. You know, I wrote my university exams 4 months back, and I'm still, this result is looming on my head as if the sword of Damocles. And this concern seems alien in an era of virtual learning, where you have quick feedback systems. And that's a wrap. Virtual learning has become an undeniably integral part which should work hand in hand with the traditional educational sector to innovate the way we learn. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, Team 9. I now call Team 10 to the stage. We have participant 10A speaking for the motion.
Until we get equality in education, we would not have equality in society. And virtual learning deny this equality and extend the augment of this inequality. So, without any doubt, we can say that virtual learning is a disaster. Education should be available, affordable, and assured to each and every citizen in India. That is why we have included right to education as a fundamental right in our constitution. But virtual learning denies this opportunity to a number of students, where in a country there exists digital divide among students and in teachers. And that's the problem. We say that virtual learning is a disaster. And not only this, virtual learning doubly marginalizes those group of people who are low-income people, who are tribes, who have to tread the path of difficulties in search of areas with a less or a greater amount of coverage. And during the pandemic period, we have heard reports that thousands of students have committed suicide only because of one reason, that they are not able to attend online classes in such a way. Virtual learning denies the right to life of a human. And that's why we can say without any doubt that virtual learning is an utter disaster. What does mean by education? The main aim of education is inclusiveness. Different students from different background, different socio-economic culture get an equal space in the form of campuses and classrooms, which is indeed denied by virtual learning. This equal environment is denied, and they think that learning is less mere accumulation of facts. And along with this, virtual learning also ostracizes section groups of society. Virtual learning has steepened the curves of those disabled students in our country, and one of the surveys conducted by a community organization has stated that 77% of disabled students had said that they can't adopt it to this virtual learning, and they will fear that they will fall behind, and this will indeed increase a dropout among these disabled students. And how can we say that after hearing all this that virtual learning is not a disaster? And another major problem regarding this virtual learning is they think that there is no personal component to education. So in a classroom where education happens, there is no exposition of ideas, there is an exchange of ideas, where in virtual learning, an echo is teaching a student without any personal contact. So when a student is sitting in front of a teacher, after having an emotional physical trauma, the teacher can realize that, and he or she can rectify that. This protection, this security is denied by virtual learning. And another major aspect of virtual learning that we oftenly overlook is that the economic aspect. Virtual learning is considered as a disaster capitalism in new clothes, which compromise in quality and quantity of learning. The mushrooming of a number of educational apps in nowadays is a vindication to this. Along with that, students are learning titration without even touching a burette. The commercialization of education, even in the universities like Concordia, the lectures have offered to students by past away professors by recording that it is indeed the commodification of lectures. We live in a society where still gender bias exists. For a number of girls, classrooms are a space to relieve their pains and to escape from the domestic abuse. And to them, to the marginal society, everyone, discrimination offered by virtual learning as indeed virtual learning is a disaster. Thank you.
Thank you, 10A. You may be seated on the hot chair. I now call team member 10B to speak her points against the motion.
We need a technology in every classroom for every teacher's and student's hand, because these are the pen and paper of the present generation, and these are the lens through which we see the rest of the world. David Warlick. A warm good morning to one and all present here. Digital literacy, or in other words, virtual education, is not a disaster. That's my stand today. Is it so? Let's examine this point with some current relevant examples. How can someone even imagine the conditional scenario of the educational system during the past pandemic days if there were no virtual education? No one could even imagine or substantially explain how the educational system, the students, and the future of millions of educationalists have continued if there were no education, if there were no virtual education during the COVID pandemic days. And now, those who are arguing against virtual education, can I just ask you one thing? If digital divide is the reason by which you are saying that virtual education is not suitable for a country, can I just ask an example? If India faces water scarcity, should we increase the supply of water, or should we ask the Indian citizens not to drink water? This is the case of digital divide also. If India faces digital divide, we need to frame policies so that the infrastructural facilities and policy makers make policies so that the digital divide gap readily reduces in our country. Reducing or eliminating virtual education is not the answer for that. And again, commodification of education. Does only virtual education commodifies education? Are you guys damn sure that if the physical, conventional, traditional physical education is not getting commodified? This is 21st century. We live in a highly globalized world. Each and everything is getting commodified, which is a part of globalization and which is a disadvantage of globalization. It is not the burden or demerit of digital education or virtual education that commodification occurs in the educational sector. And regarding the emotional aspect of virtual education, recently, virtual education has been offering one-to-one mentorship, and the number of students who are attending online classes are comparatively low than the conventional traditional educational system. You can see the examples of many arts colleges in our state too, where hundreds of students are chalked into a single classroom. How can a single teacher concentrate on each and every student who is sitting there? Comparatively, digital education or virtual education provides one-to-one interaction with each student, which will provide a mentorship to them. And can anyone forget the opportunities offered by platforms like massive open online courses, or in short MOOC, and SWAYAM platforms, etc.? They are offering hundreds of courses to those individuals who cannot pursue the traditional full-time conventional schooling. And what about the distant educational system? Virtual learning has in fact provided a huge relief to those who are relying upon them. So what I want to stress here is virtual learning is the need of the hour, because we are living in a globalized, technologically advanced world.
If we are shutting down our eyes before the virtues of virtual learning, we are walking away from the virtues that the technology is offering before us, which will not be possible in the above mentioned, which is not possible in the above mentioned globalized world, which values one's skills in technological advancements. With that, I conclude. Thank you and have a nice day.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was the last theme for the finals of the Kerala Maria Philip Future Leaders Debate 2022. It indeed was a tough competition, and we are sure that the judges are going to have a tough time deciding the winners. As the judges move out to the adjacent room for tabulating the results, the stage will be set for the valedictory function. We will begin the function shortly. You may stretch yourself and be back in the hall at 12:15.
everyone, I'm Subhadra J.
Hi, myself Ashwini Babu.
I'm thankful to XIME and all the coordinators of Maria Philip debate event for giving me this incredible opportunity.
So we are eagerly waiting and preparing for this opportunity, and let's see at the finals. Thank you.
I have come here to represent my college, my team, as well as myself. Thank you.
XIME.
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 Right.
XIME.
now request our chief guest, Mr. APM Mohammad Hanish, IAS, and Director Dr. TV Franci to please take their seat on the dais. The judges will be joining us as soon as the tabulation is done. Can we have a big round of applause for our chief guest?
A 1996 batch IAS officer, Mr. Mohammad Hanish has worked in many cities in varied capacities, held many important positions and many high-profile offices, such as the District Collector, Director of School Education Department, and Secretary PWD and Urban Development, MD Kochi Metro, MD Smart City, to name a few. A busy but gracious man with an affable personality, Mr. Hanish is presently the Principal Secretary of General Education and Secretary Department of Industries and Commerce. A recipient of many prestigious awards, Mr. Hanish was a quizzer during his college days, and he is a great orator too. We are really honored to have you as our chief guest for the final today. May I request you to address the gathering. Sir, please. May I also request the judges to join them on the dais.
We would now like to welcome Ms. Anisha Cherian, chairperson of the panel of judges, to give her observations on the performance of the contenders. Ma'am, please.
Okay, first let me start off by saying good afternoon to you all. I know there is a lot of nervous tension here, okay? Okay, first let me tell all those who participated in the debate competition, let me say you did a fantastic presentation. So that's a round of applause to all those who participated. That was a job very well done, and I'm sure, you know, these are the winners from the zones, and all of you have done a fabulous job. I know, you know, as judges, we found it extremely difficult. You know, sometimes the marks are just, the difference is like 1 or 2 marks or 3 marks, okay, between the teams. And you know how difficult that is as judges to, you know, culminate to the winners. So I'm not going to announce the winners now, so that will be a little later. But I'm just going to give a few observations. Okay, let me mention to you, once a question was asked to Warren Buffett, okay? I'm sure all of you know who Warren Buffett is, right? Can you just raise your hands? Fine, excellent. A question was once asked to him, what is the number one skill an individual should know and should learn? And without even thinking, he immediately said, communication skill. That's it. The number one skill an individual should learn in their lifetime, without thinking, he said, the communication skill. So there is, no skill higher than the communication skill. So this is what, over the years, I have also personally experienced the importance of communication. What is communication? It is, putting your idea across and convincing an audience to your point of view. It's not to impress, it is to express. Okay, so that's a point which you all need to remember. Now, what we saw, all the debates here, there are three areas which was very evident. One is body language, voice modulation, and content. Do you agree with me? These are the main three areas: body language, voice modulation, and content. Now, I just want to ask you all, in terms of importance, what do you think is more important than the other? Now, there's a lot of debate and there's a lot of research happening on these three areas. But what do you think is more important than the other? Those who believe body language is important than the other, put up your hands. I just want to get a feel. Who feels body language is the most important? Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hands, 5, 6 hands up. Okay. Those who feel voice modulation is the most important, put up your hands. Okay, we've got more hands up, right? And those who feel content is the most important, put up your hands. We've got the maximum hands up for content. Now, as per research, okay, in terms of studying thousands of public speakers, the percentages that have ultimately come down to is body language is 55%, voice modulation is 38%, content is 7%. Let me repeat. Body language is 55%, voice modulation is 38%, content is 7%. Now, there's a lot of debate going on in regarding to these percentages. When I first heard this, I refused to accept it. I would think like you. Content is over and above all else. And then over the years, when you study public speakers, end of the day, we can study all our, our politicians, okay? And if you go deep into their presentations, you eventually come to understand that body language is very important. What is body language? Use of your hands, movement, because it creates energy. And when you speak with a certain level of energy, what happens? The audience can feel your energy. Because we are emotional beings. Do you agree with me? We are all emotional beings. So when I speak to you and when you're able to feel something, I have impacted you. And that is that ability to emotionally impact somebody else. So body language is very important. What is voice modulation? Voice modulation is when you're able to take your voice up and down, up and down. And even the pause is very important. When you're continuously speaking and you suddenly pause for a few seconds, what happens? The entire audience is suddenly listening to you with attention. Do you agree with me? So if you speak in a monotone, there is no voice modulation, it's a single monotone, what happens? Audience will lose interest. So voice modulation, it is 38%. And content is important, yes. Now, these are not my percentages. These are percentages that have been, published. So there is a lot of discussions on this, but This is just a point that I want all of you to remember and think about it. And like when I initially said, communication is the number one skill that it is mandatory for you to acquire, especially during, these years when you're in college, because it'll impact you for the rest of your life. That capacity, the ability to convince an entire audience to your point of view, that is, it'll impact you in whatever you do. So let me wish you all the very best, and thank you for, giving me this opportunity to be a judge here. I totally enjoyed this experience, and myself and Molly and Mr. Johnson, when we sat together, we were unanimous, okay, when it came to the first, second, and we also came up with a third position, but we were told that only first and second needs to be announced. So thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, ma'am, for those wonderful observations. May I request Mr. Mohammed Hanish, IAS, to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Director of XIME Kochi, Dr. T.V. Fancy, the panel of judges led by the chairperson, Zanisha Cherian, President Thai Kerala, Mrs. Molly Cyril, and Mr. Johnson Matthew, faculty members of the dais, distinguished personalities, my dear debaters, dear friends. It's always a pleasure when one comes back to these platforms where the exuberant expressions of the youthful days fill the air. When too many thoughts get encapsulated in too little a time, so that the burst of energy and the kind of sequencing of ideas together, laced with the best possible language, finally produces the impact that is supposed to be made on the audience. It is most often said that the way in which you speak can certainly bring down a house and also see to it that the house gets empty as well.
Empty when it becomes an absolute. Empty because when it becomes an absolute exercise in problem, or when the house is full, when it becomes an exercise in which the rapturous audience fills
the air with the kind of applauses that you would deserve. From time immemorial, through the pages of history, from the times of Julius Caesar, you can find instances of the way in which oratory and the skills of oratory have transformed even the pace of the history of the world. Be it the kind of international, Mark Antony's oration, or for that matter, all those Roman orators, the Greek orators, and later coming on to the English, the hemisphere as well. And be it the Indian variety, like the kind of inspiring speeches that some of the emperors of the medieval ages, the medieval dynasties have done. One particular instance which comes to my mind, which has been much forgotten in the annals of Indian history, has been the kind of inspiring speech that Sher Shah Suri did so as to ensure the victory of his troops in his fight against the Mughals in the middle of the 16th century. Similarly, we come to ever so many instances as well. Sometimes it's for the good, sometimes it's not really that for the good. For instance, from the 1927-28 period till 1945, Germany or the world had the best orator coming in from Germany. He started off from the beer halls of Bavaria and saw to it that the kind of rousing speeches he did absolutely activated a big class of people across the globe. But then it was not to the detriment of the human progress as well. You know the person quite well, Adolf Hitler. At the same time, when it comes to the kind of reasonable nature in which, the gentle, persuasive style in which people continue, great personalities have really communicated with the masses, Mahatma Gandhi comes to the mind. Mahatma Gandhi was never a person who was used to such extraordinary language or the kind of arousing speeches that people welcome nowadays. But then the beauty, the simplicity, and the lucidity with which he communicated with millions of people and transformed this nation into a fighting force against the British Raj is to be really seen, to be believed, or to be delved into in the annals of history. Coming on to the present day, the 21st century, we find that communication skills have come to be uppermost in terms of the skill sets that are required for the students, for the youngsters, for the budding technocrats or the professionals for that matter. Apart from the broader understanding of the world, what are the things that really have to be with you so that you could become a successful person in life? Your writing skills would definitely have to be superlative. At the same time, ultimately the first 5 minutes belong to the speaker who makes known what exactly he is. Perhaps there may be a hidden person behind it. At the same time, when you try to influence a class of people, when you try to really turn around a particular argument, you will certainly use the gift of the gab. And how does the gift of the gab come in? The gift of the gab comes in only when there is a kind of intertwining of the words with ideas, ideas into greater themes, and finally to see to it that a beautiful sequence is created right from the point 1 to the point N. That's the way things are done. Language, body language, verbal language, the way in which sequencing is done, the content is absolutely important as well. That's wherein, when I go for some of these debate competitions, I find that at times, some of us happen to dwell on the superfluous or the superficial knowledge that's imparted perhaps by the Wikipedia and similar editions. Let us get back to the paperback as well. Maybe I'm an old-dated person. At the same time, I would believe that we have to really dwell into the deeper essence of whatever, be it philosophy or science or history or, for that matter, scientific subjects, to understand the subtleties and the nuances that really characterize whatever we see. From physics to philosophy, it's not a great distance. It's too short a distance. And for philosophy to mathematics, we need not walk the distance that we would require to reach even Fort Cochin. So, in that sense, there is an interdisciplinary approach that's required to understand what exactly this world is all about. 7 continents, these many oceans, these many billions of people, and then finally the kind of metamorphosis that happens across the world as a result of the shifting sand dunes and the kind of winds of change that sweep across the continents. When Harold Macmillan, the British Prime Minister of the 1960s, said, and I quote, "Winds of change are blowing across the continents," he would never have imagined that the British United Kingdom or England would definitely be losing that suzerainty because of the winds of change that were blowing across. But at the same time, when it comes to the kind of shift in the geopolitical system and also with regard to the various themes that have been dominant in terms of its influence across the world, we come across too many such themes. COVID has been a predominant theme starting off from 2019, December 31, and going on and on. We come to an end of it. And today's topic, I understand, is virtual learning is a disaster. As the principal secretary of not just the industries department, but also of the education department, I will definitely, vehemently disagree with the statement that virtual learning is a disaster. For 2 years, we did the classrooms on virtual mode. And, one second. Hello, starting. It comes to 2 years of virtual mode, digital mode, online, and the kind of the online classroom sessions that we had. It had its good effects, it had its bad effects. We were trying to really, kind of quantify the positives as well as the negatives. But from an official side, most of us across the corporate world as well as the bureaucratic world have come round to the new theme that has really come to dominate everything. That is the online meeting. Some of us feel very comfortable about it because I, for myself, have been able to connect 3 meetings in one room. One on the line, second off the line, and third surreptitiously. So in that sense, it makes my freedom a bit more. But come to think about the other reverse one. The online meetings have ultimately pervaded, or rather violated, the privacy of even our bedrooms. We find that even a bedroom can be made into a meeting place. For the students, of course, it has been an absolutely different experience. 2020 to 2022. A generation had actually lost 2 years of schooling or college days, including my daughter. But at the same time, there were certain positives that had emerged as well. One was the fact that you had greater time to spend for yourself. If you were a person of a reading habit, had a reading habit, it could have really been developed into a much greater scale. The other good thing was that the familial relationships, which are really going for a toss, which I understand has been a real gainer during the COVID days, because you came close with your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, aunties, cousins, and whatever. After all, ultimately, all this education, the kind of virtues of citizenry, and the way in which you continue with your vocation, ultimately has to lead you to have a peaceful, absolutely happy life. If happiness is the factor, then definitely competition has to be kept at bay for some time. I'm not to state that competitions have to go away. Today itself is a competition day, and you are just getting ready to the announcements that are to be made. I have gone through such pangs of agony and ecstasy for several times, hundreds of times perhaps, right from my school days till my university days, when I used to scale through the state level, the South Indian, and the national level. My finest moment of glory was when the Inter-Universities National Youth Festival, conducted by the Association of Indian Universities, had the debate competition in which my team, that's the Kerala University team, was adjudged the best, and I was selected the best speaker. I could never go beyond that during those times. But nowadays I find that some of the youngsters had crossed the boundaries, crossed the seas, and gone for international debate championships as well. So far, so good. But finally, what does it all bring us to? It's not just glib talk that is expected out of all of you. Instead of that, beyond the confines of the 5 minutes, it is the extension of your thought process, beyond the kind of pulpits, beyond the kind of dais that you have. It is the extension of your thought process that would lead you to be the thought leaders of the world. The thought leaders of the world emerges only through effective communicators. And who better can be an effective communicator than all of you? So in that sense, the world really expects a great deal of benefits from you, a great deal of blessings from you. If I am to confine myself to my household and to my selfish dreams, the world is lost for me, and the world also loses me. This has been the greatest bane of the 21st century. Today, when you strive to move at a lightning speed through the information superhighway, many of the finer qualities of life, the finest elements of human sentiments get lost. That's why we state that years back, decades back, we had huge oceans of compassion. Today, sometimes it gets reduced to streams or tricklets of compassion. Where has it gone away? We need to bring it back to us, to our minds, and see to it that whatever prosperity that we acquire in this world is not ours alone. It is something for which we are absolutely indebted to this world. Let's strive to be such global citizens, and you, the debaters, the brilliant orators of the day, are the ones who should spread this gospel. And as one of the US President hopefuls so many years back, an excellent preacher, Reverend Jesse Jackson once remarked in a quote, "If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, I know that I can do it." Thank you very much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir, for your invigorating words. The moment has come for the announcement of the results. May I request the chairperson of the judging panel, Ms. Anisha Cherian, to do the honors.
First, let me say a big thank you to Mr. Mohammad Anish he spoke so eloquently. You will not notice that it was not loud. It was soft-spoken, but very, very impactful. So it's not about being loud. You can be soft-spoken and still be just as impactful. So thank you, Mr. Mohammad, for that excellent. Okay, now the time has come for me to announce the results. And let me once more tell all the participants, okay, you were excellent. And let me reiterate what I said. It's not about impressing anybody. It's about expressing yourself. You speak from your heart. You speak authentically. The way you feel, the audience should feel. That energy you feel, the audience need to feel that energy. Now, let me start off by announcing the runner-up, okay? And as I mentioned before, it was unanimous by both the judges, all three of us, that is Mr. Johnson and Molly Cyril. The runner-up goes to St. Dominic College, Team 3A, Fazia Ansar, and 3B, Parvati Bobby. Congratulations. Fantastic. Now let me announce the winner. Can anybody guess? Anybody, can you just guess? I just want to, just understand the audience. 4? How many of you all think it's 4? Okay. Let me announce the winners. The winners for today's competition is St. Thomas College, 4A, 4B, Sri Ranjani, and 4B Vishnu Unikrishnan. Congratulations. That was fantastic. Okay, it included all the aspects which I spoke about: body language, voice modulation, content. And when I say voice modulation was excellent, and I have to say a few words, if you notice what Unni said, okay, the last point, he picked up just that one word. He said, focus on the word disaster. Is it a disaster? Okay, so that was a beautiful way to conclude. So congratulations once again to the winners, St. Thomas College, 4A, Sri Ranjani, and 4B, Vishnu Unikrishnan. And to all the other participants, let me say this competition was extremely difficult to judge. The points were just, 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 marks. So you can imagine as judges what we actually went through. It was extremely difficult. All of you did really well. Keep at it. Communication skill is absolutely important. Every chance that you get to go up and speak, take it up, do that. Go up and speak, because what it does to your self-confidence is immense. And ultimately, everything boils down to your self-confidence. If you are a confident person, doors just keep opening up for you, whether it's a professional life, whether you're into entrepreneurship, it does not matter. Doors will keep opening up for you. And the fastest way to increase self-confidence is through your communication capability. So thank you, and wish you all the best. God bless.
Thank you, ma'am. Congratulations to the winners, Sri Ranjini S. Babu and Vishnu Unikrishnan of St. Thomas College, Autonomous Thrissur, and runners-up Fazia Ansari and Parvati Bobby of St. Dominic's College, Kandirapalli, and to all the teams that participated.
May I request the Chief Guest, Mr. Mohammed Hanish, IAS, to distribute to the winners Sri Ranjini S. Babu and Vishnu Unikrishnan of St. Thomas College Autonomous Thrissur the cash prize of 30,000 rupees and the ever-rolling trophy. Sri Ranjani and Vishnu Unikrishnan are the 4th-time winners of the Maria Philip Future Leaders Debate Competition, Kerala, of St. Thomas College, Autonomous Thrissur.
You call it St. Thomas Autonomous College? Yeah. Oh, it's a new college that is coming. See, I will tell you something. This with St. Thomas College, I have a running feud going back to the 1980s and 1990s. They were great rivals for our quizzing championships. We used to fight till the national level. So we used to defeat them, they used to defeat us. So I had a great, healthy respect for St. Thomas College.
Can we have a huge round of applause for the winners? The winners are from St. Thomas College, Thrissur, the 4-time winner of the Maria Philip Future Leaders Debate Competition. Congratulations. The winners also receive the ever-rolling trophy. The winners are requested to remain at the back side of the stage for a group photo.
May I also request the chief guest to distribute the cash prize of rupees 20,000 to the runners-up Fazia Ansari and Parvati Bobby of St. Dominic's College, Kandirapalli.
Can we have a huge round of applause for the runners-up of St. Dominic's College, Kandirapalli. The runners-up receive a cash prize of 20,000 rupees. Thank you, sir. We request the winners and the runners-up to please stand at the dais for a group photo along with the dignitaries. Please stand at the dais for a group photo along with the dignitaries. October and December. We would like to take this opportunity to thank the host colleges at all the zones for providing us the venue and their wholehearted support. May I request the dignitaries to please be seated on the dais.
May I invite Ms. Anisha Churian to give away the zonal prizes of the first 4 zones. Participation certificates of the state level competition will also be distributed along with this. Genga VR and Uttara Raji of Ma Evanuas College from Trivandrum zone.
Ganga VR and Uttara Raji of Mar Evanios College from Trivandrum zone. Next is Abhinav Mohan and Nandana SM of Fatima Mata National College from Kollam zone. Abhinav Mohan and Nandana SM of Fatima Mata College from Kollam zone. Next we have Changanasheri zones winners Subhadra J and Ashwati Elsa Babu of Assumption College, Changanasheri. Changanasheri zones winners Subhadra J and Ashwati Elsa Babu of Assumption College, Changanasheri.
From Kottayam zone, Fazia Ansari and Parvati Bobby of St. Dominic's College, Kanjinapalli. Fazia Ansari and Parvati Bobby of St. Dominic's College, Kanjinapalli. Thank you, ma'am.
May I invite Mr. Johnson Matthew to distribute the prizes of the next 3 zones. We have Diya Babu and Pranav Vinoy from MA College of Engineering, Kodamangalam of Muvatupura zone.
Diya Biju and Pranav Vinoy from MA College of Engineering, Kodamangalam of Muvatupura zone.
Haridev Verma and Anaga P of School of Legal Studies, Kusat from Cochin zone. That is Haridev Verma and Anaga P of School of Legal Studies, Kusat from Cochin zone. From Prajoti Niketan College, Amal Joshi and Jisha Reji of Chalakudi zone. Audience can keep applauding as the winners receive their certificates. We have from Prajoti Niketan College, Amal Joshi and Jisha Reji of Chalakudi zone. Thank you, sir. May I now invite Miss Molly Cyril to distribute the prizes.
From Thrissur zone, we have Vishnu Unikrishnan and Sri Ranjini S. Babu of St. Thomas College, Autonomous, Thrissur. That is Vishnu Unikrishnan and Sri Ranjini S. Babu of St. Thomas College, Autonomous, Thrissur.
Next, we have Gopika Ajit and Revati N. Nambiar of Providence Women's College from Calicut Zone. This is Gopika Ajit and Revati N. Nambiar of Providence Women's College from Calicut Zone.
And last but not the least, from Don Bosco Arts and Science College in the Kannur zone, Aisha Haneen and Yasuraj A. This is Aisha Haneen and Yasuraj A from Don Bosco Arts and Science College from Kannur zone. Thank you, ma'am. Congratulations once again to all the zonal winners, and thank you to our eminent panel of judges for giving away the awards to our winners.
May I request Dr. T.V. Franci to please bestow the chief guest with a memento as a token of gratitude from our side.
Thank you, sir. May I also request Dr. Franci to hand over a small memento to our panel of judges.
To the chairperson of the panel of judges, Miss Anisha Cherian.
Then Miss Molly Cyril, former Dean and Director of the Charter School.
Finally, Mr. Johnson Matthew, CHRO EVM Motors. Thank you, sirs and ma'ams.
We are now almost at the end of our event. We would like to invite Dr. Feva Thomas, Assistant Professor and one of the coordinators, along with Dr. Smita of the Maria Philip Future Leaders Debate Competition, who worked so hard to see this year's debate to fruition to deliver the vote of thanks.
I consider it a great privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks for this occasion of this event. What an amazing and a blessed day this has been. The significance of this day could not have been overemphasized. XIME organized Maria Philip Future Leaders Debate Competition to commemorate the memory of Maria Philip, who was an excellent debater. What we have witnessed here is truly a remarkable performance by all the participants. Very worthy of commendation. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Honest disagreement is often a good sign of progress." At the outset, I take this opportunity to thank Professor J. Philip, our principal founder, XIME Institutions and former director, IIM Bangalore, the man behind the design of this event. Sir, we would like to thank you from our bottom of our heart. Dr. C.P. Ravindranathan, IFS retired, Chairman XIME Kochi, former Ambassador of India to the Philippines, and High Commissioner of India to Australia. Sir, we would like to thank you from the bottom of the heart. I would like to thank Mr. Anil J. Philip, President, XIME Society, for his support for making this event a success. The process of debate emphasizes critical thinking, effective communication, independent research, teamwork, teaches the principles of tolerance and respect for different points of view. XIME, arguably one of the top business schools in the country, is hence proud to have created a platform to encouraging debating talent among college students, and through that commemorate the memory of Maria Philip. I would like to thank Sri APM Mohammed Hanish, IAS Principal Secretary, General Education, Department Secretary, Department of Industries and Commerce, Kerala. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and gracing our occasion. Yeah. Without doubt, the most difficult job today was of the judges. As the chairman of the panel of judges mentioned, it was a great debate and a tough competition. Must mention a deep sense of appreciation for Mr. Anisha Cherian, President TIE Kerala, Director at Chemanur Academy of Systems Private Limited, the Chairman of the panel of judges, Mr. Moli Cyril, the Dean and Director of the Charter School, and Mr. Johnson Matthew, the CHRO of EVM Motors. Thank you. On behalf of the Chairman XIME Kochi, Dr. Ravindranath IFS retired, and Professor J. Philip, Chairman XIME Bangalore, and my personal behalf, I would like to place a record of gratitude to all the judges. Thank you once again. Next, I would like to thank Dr. T.V. Francie, Director, XIME Kochi, and Professor Alok, Dean Academics, a wholehearted support and execution of this event and making this a success. I would like to thank Professor A.S. Girish, Dr. Ranjana Mary Varghese for the endless support in multiple capacities during the execution of every event, including calling out the judges and all the support that they rendered. I would like to thank the zonal coordinators, Ms. Geetika Thomas, Ms. Dimi Golsalves, Ms. Lindsay P.T., Dr. Elizabeth Devasya, Mr. Soni Varghese, and Mr. Jomi Lawrence, Mr. Dominic Cherry, and Dr. Paul Davis, who have rendered a great support and joined hands together to make this event a success. I would also thank Dr. Smita ma'am for all the support that she has rendered for making this event a great, she was a backbone behind this event, so I would ask everyone to give a clap and an applause for her. Next, I would like to thank Ms. Seema, Ms. Jija, Anna John, Ms. Smita G for their support and cooperation throughout the event. Special thanks to the admin team, Mr. Dominic sir, admin manager, Sister Mercikuti, Mr. Vishal, Mr. Nihas, Mr. Gladwin, Mr. Lijo, and Mr. Joseph and Ms. Shika, Mr. Abhijit for the wholehearted effort and support throughout this event. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants who were the stars today. Justify the faith the institutions had in them. Let me extend a warm gratitude to all of them. Thank you for putting up a great show. I would like to thank and extend a most sincere thanks to all our invitees for the days, the parents, the members of the family who had come to XIME Kochi for their presence. On behalf of Chairman XIME Kochi and Dr. Ravindranath IFS retired, Professor J. Philip, Chairman XIME Bangalore, and my personal behalf, I would express my profound and most gracious gratitude to all of you for honoring our invitation and coming here. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. It requires meticulous planning and execution and eye for details. I would like to thank all the faculty colleagues, staff, and students of XIME Kochi throughout the program and your involvement for making this a great show. And special thanks to all the coordinators for supporting endlessly throughout all the 10 zones of Maria Phillips. So special thanks to all the student coordinators. Thank you for unrelenting support and cooperation to make this awesome event. Thank you one and all.
So let me thank the overall coordinators, Dr. Feber and Dr. Smitha, for the entire effort that took for the conduct of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Feba ma'am, and thank you, Francis sir. I request all to rise for the national anthem.
Thank you all once again for being a wonderful audience. Congratulations to the participants and the winners. We invite you for the lunch in the canteen downstairs. Have a great day. Thank you.